Hey everybody, it's me again, Edward Carbajal, mixed martial arts analyst for page2sports.com and Front Proof Media. And it's Memorial Day weekend, so this is the podcast. We're going to cover the UFC on Sunday and talk about some MMA prospective organizations that have actually been around a while in New Jersey. MMA Nick comes back, and I'm going to play you that and send you off with that interview. So I just wanted to get the regular advertising stuff out of the way. So if you like this podcast and you want to hear other episodes, please check out the blogboardjungle.com. And if you'd like to check out any of the MMA analysis that I've done in the past, you can go over to frontproofmedia.com or page2sports.com. And finally, if you'd like to donate and help out this podcast, you can go to the blogboardjungle.com when you make your Amazon purchases and just use any of the Amazon links on that website. Or if you purchase Onnit supplements, there's also Onnit links there too. And just by making your purchases that way, you'll be helping out the website, and it won't cost you anything extra outside of your regular purchase. So without any further ado, here is the breakdown for this coming UFC Fight Night 88 with myself and MMA Nick. All right, it's Memorial Day weekend, and I have the return of the one and only MMA Nick. How are you, Nick?
I mean, that's an amazing introduction, Ed. So, I'm doing really well. Happy Memorial Day weekend. I hope you have beers and burgers all weekend, buddy.
Yeah, no, I definitely have it planned, but whether or not it goes through, we'll see. But I'm just going to work out, get some mat time, and then counter all of that by eating bad and drinking bad. But in New Jersey, it's like the unofficial start of the summer this weekend. So we get 3 months of nice weather, and then before we go right back to winter.
Yeah, I know. That's why eventually I would love to move out to Arizona so I could just have beers and barbecues all weekend and maybe go check out, Ryan Bader at our MMA team. I love that team, so it'd be nice. Yeah,
it would be. Actually, it's funny that you say that because that's the same battle plan me and my girlfriend have. We want to move out to that area too, Arizona, Nevada, just somewhere where winter's light. But
well, I'd have to get permission from my fiance first, but all four of us, let's just save some money, buy a house. Me and you will watch fights all weekend, and they can go shopping all weekend. It'll be all good.
Oh yeah, she hears that, she'll be on board. So what's up, man?
I'll have to get second jobs too.
Yeah, well, I'd have to get a first job down there, but or out that way, I should say, down there, out that way. Anyway, so what's good, man? How have you been? What have you heard about the local MMA circuit lately? You had said something to me earlier.
Yeah, I've been doing well. I used to train at AMA Fight Club in Whippany, New Jersey. And I, through a friend, reconnected with, I like to call him the godfather of New Jersey MMA, Mike Constantino. So I never get to dedicate a interview to anyone, so I want to dedicate it to him, and I want to shout out his promotion that he is the president of, called Cage Fury Fighting Championship, and they just had a great show down in Atlantic City about a week ago on May 21st. And I would totally encourage anyone listening to your podcast, your millions of viewers and fans, Ed, I would encourage them to definitely go check it out, because it's an awesome promotion. A lot of people, when they think of the New Jersey circuit, they think of Ring of Combat, but Cage Fury Fighting Championships, definitely check it out. I think, the appeal of MMA or, any sport when you're a college fan is you get to see the development of your favorite player or your favorite fighters. And, New Jersey, without tooting, our own horn per se, we are the land of Frankie Edgar, and we are the land of the Miller brothers, and pioneers like Nick Catone and Mike Vicencio. A lot of guys that, have been successful in mixed martial arts and carried that on to the UFC. So anytime I get a chance to shout out a local, promotion, I definitely want to do that because it's so important to continue to produce more Frankie Edgars and more Jim Dan Millers, guys that not only are they great fighters, but they're great human beings and people that we can look up to for sure.
No, I agree 100%, man. I mean, I actually do it a lot more through social media than I do on the podcast, but definitely both promotions, the two top are Cage Fury Fighting Championships and Ring of Combat. I know you can catch the replays of the CFFCs on CBS Sports. Unfortunately, it's a channel I don't have. But actually, recently, I know not the last event, but I want to say the event before that. So if that was you said that was 50 or 55. What was the number?
They just had, and of course, I'm looking at the website. They just had their 58th event. And anytime a promotion has 58 events, I mean, that's worth looking at.
Oh yeah.
Everybody wants to be a matchmaker, and everybody wants to be an MMA president, or whatever it is. But when you got a guy like Mike Constantino, who's a promoter and the owner of AMA Fight Club, which let's not forget Charlie Brenneman, who was always game and pulled off, I would put it in maybe the top 10 to 15 upsets in the UFC when he fought Rick Story, who is an absolute powerhouse. He beat him. I mean, Mike Constantino deserves a lot of credit, and he's such a humble guy. I'm sure, he'll DM me on Twitter and be like, dude, stop talking about him, shut up. But, he deserves a lot. He's one of those guys that, unless you really, really know MMA, if you're a hardcore fan, you don't hear enough about him.
Yeah.
So, it was really cool just, having a conversation with him very quickly and just seeing how successful he is. Because when New Jersey MMA is successful, me and you who, we never made it to the pros, for any reason, for me, it was just I wasn't good enough, and I'm not afraid to admit that. You feel successful because our love for the sport is so passionate.
Yo, yeah, definitely. The thing about that particular promotion too is recently I know Aljamain Sterling was there for one of the recent shows doing color commentary cage side, so which is a nice way to lead into this weekend's events, because he's fighting this weekend. UFC Fight Night 88. He's the main event for the Fight Pass card, which I wouldn't mind if Fight Pass absorbed CFFC as one of their other live event promotions, because I don't have CBS Sports, even though I live in New Jersey, Atlantic City is a long drive, and I don't get to make it down there as often as I'd like.
I hear you, man, and I'm a big fan of Aljo. The kid is talented. He gets it too. Now you see him talking smack more, and a lot of times that'll turn people off because personally, I like guys that just go in there and they murder their opponent, they collect their check, and they move up the ladder. But I understand it. They gotta make money. This is their well-being that's on the line, and Aljo, he understands that, and he called out Caraway. It was hilarious the way he was calling him Mr. Tate, and I have a ton of respect for Bryan Caraway. I think he's so underrated. I know he's not in the world top 10, but if they ever expand it to the top 15, I feel like Caraway would definitely fit into that category. So while I'll be rooting hard for Aljo, I wouldn't be surprised if he maybe bit off a little more than he can chew. But if you're telling me who you're going with, I'm going with Aljo for sure, and I'm going with a hard-fought unanimous decision for sure.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely rooting for him too. I mean, I even though I root for certain fighters, and when trying to look at a fight and break it down, looking at everyone's skill set and stuff, I'm never disappointed with if the person I'm rooting for doesn't win. That happened to me actually for Werdum and Miocic. I was thinking Werdum was going to pull another surprise submission out, and then he wound up getting knocked out, but. I had that pinned to my profile page on Twitter for a while, because I was like, you know what, that's why I love this sport, because no matter the outcome, it's always just a great. When the wins come that way, unexpected like that, it's just a great way. It's just the sport never gets boring. So
yeah, and I mean that says a lot about the pressure of being a champion, right? I mean, for me, I don't think Werdum any of his wins were a fluke. I don't think he's surprising at all. I think that he built himself as a fighter in a appropriate type of way where he took steps and he transferred to King's MMA because, I mean, he is either the best or one of the best heavyweight jiu-jitsu players in the game. And then going to King's MMA, I mean, that just broadened his skill set. So, you know, you remember when he fought Travis Brown in a number one contender fight. I mean, Travis is known for some heavy power, and Verdum lit him up. And then, you know, he goes against Kane, and I don't want to hear anything about how it was in Mexico, and that's why Kane lost. Because last time I checked, Verdum was right there with him in Mexico fighting.
Yeah.
And, you know, he used his stand-up to get the fight to where he felt most comfortable, which is the ground.
Yeah.
And, you know, to think that Miocic was going to knock Verdum out is crazy. But the pressure got to Verdum. I mean, this world-class fighter, right, running at Miocic, throwing wild punches with his chin up in the air. I mean, look, there's no way in hell I could last 10 seconds with Verdum. But if he's coming running at me, you know, me or you could get a lucky shot in. So, you know, it just speaks to champions like Demetrius Johnson. And, you know, that's I never understood why people, you know, hated on Ronda Rousey. I mean, I know she could, you know, be a jerk sometimes, but I mean, the amount of title defenses she had was incredible.
Yeah.
You know, John Jones, you know, all the title defenses before he got into trouble. I mean, getting one title defense in the UFC, I mean, people, I think, overestimate that. I don't think they appreciate that, you know, enough. And that's why the record for title defenses in the heavyweight division is still only 2 title defenses.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's the sport's crazy, but boy, is it entertaining.
Yeah, for sure. We were talking about, I know there's no title on the line on the main event for this weekend's UFC, but with Almeida and I can never say this guy's name right, so
Garbrandt.
Yeah, Garbrandt. So Almeida and Garbrandt, and both of them being undefeated and looking at both their records. I mean, I know Almeida's 20-0 and Garbrandt's 8-0. I mean, it seems like it's like half the experience, but do you think it's like a quality versus quantity as far as who they faced and they're equally matched? I don't know. I can't really pick a winner for that one.
I do. I really do. And I think it's almost a coin toss where maybe it's a little 55-45 in favor of Almeida. But see, I love fights like this. You know, I would prefer a fight like this than, you know, if we look at UFC 198. It was a good card, but I really think people are talking way too much about it. I mean, Caraway is not an up-and-coming fighter, but he's climbing the ladder. He's relevant. Vitor Belfort is not relevant anymore, especially without TRT. You know what I mean? And then you had Shogun and Corey Anderson. Corey Anderson, who, by the way, got screwed in Brazil, you know, he's the up-and-coming fighter. Shogun is a legend. It's awesome to see legend. I get that appeal. But if you ask me what I want to see 2 young prospects, blue chip, you know, talented as hell. You got Thomas Almeida, who is number 8 in the world right now. You have Cardi Garbrandt, who is unranked, but I mean, you know, he's probably number 11 or 12. And, you know, both of these guys, with this win, I believe both of them are one step away, meaning they need one number 1 contender fight, and they should get a shot at the championship because they are the future of MMA. And the bantamweight division, I mean, is so fun. It's only going to get more fun when Marlon Moraes signs with the UFC. But, I mean, you got, speaking of New Jersey talent, you got Jimmy Rivera, who's 9-1, undefeated in the UFC. And I said 19-1, right? I hope so. And he's undefeated in the UFC. He's ranked number 9. You got John Lineker, who looks amazing, even though he's small as far as height for the division. The power in his hands totally makes up for it. He's number 10 in the newest rankings. So the bantamweight division is so fun. I'm so excited, and that's why, you know, I was like, Ed, we've got to talk about Aljo against Caraway, and we've got to talk about Almeida against Garbrandt, because, you know, I love main events like this. I love when, you know, you read quote-unquote experts and, you know, 55% are going with Almeida and 45% are going with Cody. But both guys, you know, when they say don't blink, usually when they say don't blink, you can blink because it never lives up to the hype. But, like, these guys are studs. They're incredible. I am so excited for this fight.
Yeah, no, me too. And I'm glad, I mean, it's on a Sunday because of the weekend and stuff. I mean, a lot of people aren't working on Monday, so I like that it's on a Sunday, and it's going to be a nice way to break up the weekend. But, you know, when I was looking at the card, for a televised free on TV card, it's a pretty stat card. Usually when you look at them, you're like, oh, okay. But this one is actually, I mean, lately, I want to say Joe Silva's been doing his job lately, because a lot of the cards lately, pay-per-view, the last pay-per-view was great. And then with this one coming up, I'm just like, wow, man, these things are just getting better and better. Jessica I is fighting on this too, right?
I'm sorry?
Jessica I, isn't she on this card as well?
Yeah, you know, it was funny because we're talking about bantamweights, and I was going to say, don't forget about the women's bantamweights either, because, you know, Sarah McMahon, number 7 in the world, and she's fighting Jessica I. I mean, both of these girls are desperate for a win.
Yeah.
I don't think either one of them are close to getting a pink slip, because they're both ultra talented, but they really need a win.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So this is kind of do or die when it comes to getting back to being relevant in the title picture. I like Sarah McMahon. I think she's an excellent fighter. You know, anytime you have a fighter who's an Olympic athlete, you know, I'm always going to go with that. You know, she trains down in North Carolina with Revolution MMA. So I like her better, to be honest. And I think she's going to snap her 2-fight losing streak. But if you ask me to put money on this fight, no chance. I'm laying off the fight, because, you know, Jessica I is on a 2-fight losing streak too, and she needs a win. She trains with Stipe Miocic. Strong style fight team. I mean, I heard some people on the post-fight, the UFC post-fight, say that it's a smaller gym. I mean, when you have 2 fighters like Stipe Miocic and Jessica I don't understand how that can be considered a smaller gym. I think it's a fantastic gym. I think that with Stipe's recent win, it's only going to draw more talent in Ohio and Michigan and all those areas. So I'm really looking forward to the women. They always put on a great show. I hate people who knock women's MMA.
Oh, yeah, me too.
They're warriors, man, and I'm super excited for it. No,
I've never seen a boring women's fight. I mean, I don't even refer to it as women's MMA. I just call it MMA. It's MMA. I mean, sometimes they go for it more than the guys do. Especially, it's funny you're saying that, because when you look at the strawweight division in the UFC, it's like it's all killers. It's like that.
Oh, it's stacked.
Yeah.
It's totally stacked. I mean, let's look at it this way, okay? The women's division, when it comes to 115, is so stacked that you have a killer, like you said, Rose Namajunas.
Yeah.
She's number 6 in the world. She hasn't even cracked the top 5 yet, and she's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then you have Jessica Aguilar, who unfortunately tore her ACL, but when she comes back, she's going to be nasty. The first champion in the history of the division, Carla Esparza, she's number 5. She can't even get back into the top 3. So, yeah, I agree with you, man. I am totally into both women's divisions. I'll tell you what, though, one thing that if I had to say, I know that they're strongly considering a women's flyweight division, but you know what I think would make the sport just more interesting than it already is? If they made a cruiserweight division, you know, a 195 division, because, you know, you see you have 55 and then you jump 15 pounds to 70, you jump 15 pounds to 85, but then you jump 20 pounds to 205. It would be really cool if they just kind of found that middle ground.
Yeah.
Because guys like Rashad Evans, who, you know, future Hall of Fame, I love Rashad Evans, don't get me wrong. But imagine that guy at 195. Let's even turn back the clock. Imagine Randy Couture at 195.
Yeah.
And, that would be awesome. I would love a men's cruiserweight division.
Well, aren't they doing something with the weight classes? They're going to announce in July. I'm going to be at the fan. I think they're going to talk about it at the Fan Expo. But something about modifying the weight classes or something to that effect. I saw something in the news about that this week, but I didn't have time to get into it.
I think that's more about how much a fighter can weigh it on the day of the weigh-in or the day before the weigh-in.
Oh, that's right, yeah. For the weight cutting.
They're trying to kind of prevent, bad things from happening. I mean, look at Chris Lieben. I mean, his heart problems directly stem from the amount of weight he used to cut. So I'm not sure to announce the weight division. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't. You know what I mean? I think women's 125, that's all but done. I've been hearing some rumblings about, 145 for two reasons. A, to counter Bellator, because Bellator has 145, but also because I think they are chomping at the bit to keep Cyborg. Yeah. But, I think of that press conference is going to be about, weight cutting and weigh-ins and policies to care more for the fighters. I mean, I think it's great. They put guys on the line, literally, and without sounding too cliche, I think we need to be appreciative of that. So any decisions where they have the safety as top priority, I'm all for.
Oh, yeah, no. I mean, anything that keeps them safe, I'm all for too. But I think that's a good idea. Cruiserweight division would definitely help with people. Giving them another option to weigh in at would help a lot of fighters last in the sport a lot longer. But all right. So for this weekend, it looks like we're rooting for the same fighters.
Speaking about UFC Fight Night 88, I mean, two fights that I feel like we definitely, I'm sure you're just excited as I am. Renan Barão is moving up to side. I mean, this guy right now is in the bantamweight rankings, and he's leaving to go to featherweight to deal with his weight issues. So I think it falls right into what we're talking about. Yeah. And to get Jeremy Stephens as like a welcome committee, I mean, Jeremy Stephens, that guy has cinder blocks for hands. He's number 10 in the world, so it's not like they're easing Barão into the featherweight division. I mean, this is kind of, baptism by fire for sure. And a lot of people are picking Barão, and I am too, don't get me wrong, but, in a way, it's kind of like disrespectful to Jeremy Stephens. He's a 145 top 10 guy who knocks dudes out all the time. So I'm really interested in seeing that. And then, we were talking about, Rick Story before. He's on this card. He's fighting Tariq Saffiedine. And, Saffiedine, he didn't really impress me in his earlier fight against Jake Ellenberg. Tense. And when you go with odds, the money lines in Vegas, I'm thinking Rick Story with the upset. But I don't really feel that that's an upset. I don't think I'm being too gutsy picking Rick Story over Saffiedine.
I never go by Vegas odds anyway, because I don't even know where they get their numbers from half the time.
Yeah, they've gotten a lot better, but sometimes you see lines where it's just like for perfect example, Stipe Miocic, right? You have to bet $170 to win 100 for his fight against Alistair Overeem. So he's not even a 2-1 favorite. Now, we were talking last time, and we both picked correctly that Overeem would beat Arlovsky. Yeah. But we also put up the fact that Overeem's chin, I mean, it's a really thin glass chin, and they were even commenting on it, how safe he was fighting against Arlovsky until he caught him with that front kick. I would, if you were asking me to make a line, I would say Miocic at the very least should be a 2.5 to 1 favorite. I mean, I think Stipe definitely defends his belt against Overeem. So sometimes you look at lines and you wonder, either they know something that we don't, or they don't know enough as much as we do.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's like when you look at my girlfriend actually won some money on when Nate Diaz beat Conor McGregor. Look at that. They had McGregor as a favorite for some reason, and me and her were just looking at each other. We're like, why? Like this is all alien to it was a new weight class. Somebody with a ton more experience. I just didn't get it. I mean, it was like based on popularity. It's like
Well, you know what? And I'm sorry to interrupt, Ed. One thing that I learned in college, because not saying that gambling might have been the way I made money in college, because God forbid I incriminate myself.
Yeah.
But from what I understand, a Las Vegas line isn't always the favorite of who's going to win. The goal of Las Vegas is to make a line where they almost get equal amount of betting, or they protect themselves, by keeping someone away from betting. So that's, for example, Luke Rockhold. He's $1,000. You have to bet $1,000 only to win 100. That's kind of the way that they protect themselves, because really, I'm not going to bet $1,000 just to win 100. There's no sanity in that bet. So, when you look at lines, what they're trying to do is they're trying to promote betting from both sides.
Yeah. And
that's why the house always wins, as the saying goes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, I took Game Theory for Business, and that was covered a lot, too. So it's definitely that's why I'll stick with my little 25-cent games in DraftKings. Because I only lose a quarter, but when I win, I always win back at least 80 cents. So
well, that's a profit.
Yeah. So, all right, man. Well, I'm really glad you called. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to get off your chest, but I try to keep the episodes at 30 minutes. So.
Yeah, I hear you, man. It's a nice way of telling me that I got to shut my mouth. Sometimes I know I rant a little bit. Before I go, though, Conor McGregor, please come back to MMA. Where are you? I thought you were Mr. Anytime, any place. But, soon enough, you got to stop running from Frankie Edgar. And if you want to follow me, I'm on Twitter, MMA_Nick. You can come at me, anything you hate that I said. Although I was pretty well behaved today, Ed. But, you're always going to have those haters. So anytime you need me to embarrass you, just don't forget. No one knows MMA like MMA Nick.
MMA Nick. All right, I'm sure you'll be back, too.
Of course, man. I love doing this. And hopefully I'll see you soon.
All right, yes, definitely. All right, man, take care.
Thanks, man.
All right, so that was MMA Nick. He always lets me know when he wants to come on. And, I'm always hard up for guests, so I really do appreciate it. And when he comes on, and we actually talk about a lot of stuff. If we had more time, I'm actually going to try to make more time the next time he comes on, because we do have when we talk MMA and the fight game and just the history of the sport having to do with where we live in New Jersey and where it is now. It's just a really good conversation, and so I'm glad you guys are in on it. But be safe this weekend. Enjoy your Memorial Day weekend. Have a good time. And remember why this weekend is so long too. It's not all about barbecues and firecrackers and stuff. It's time to remember the servicemen and things like that. So have a good weekend, and again, be safe out there. I'll talk to you next week. Bye.